Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Magic the Gathering Arena. And today we're going to be doing yet another Shadows over Innistrat Remastered draft. Exactly what we've got here. Oh, well, these look quite cool. And honestly, I'm just actually having a bit of fun. It's a bit of nostalgia for me. I'm really enjoying it. And hopefully we can just keep going with that same, that same enjoyment. Oh wow, we've not got long left. Oh, that's on the sealed. Okay, that's fine. We have still got a little bit longer here. We could do a Neon Dynasty or something like that, but I'm absolutely on board for more Shadows Remastered. So we're going to jump in and see, what we can figure out, what we can do, see if we can do another archetype. If you're enjoying these videos, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear, if it's something you're interested in seeing more of, something you don't want to see at all. Any feedback is really, really useful at this point in time. And if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe, join us over on Patreon, like the video, anything you want to do, but I just appreciate every single bit of interaction from you guys. So let's have a look, see what we've got here. We've just finished the season, so we've got a few season rewards as well, so we can have a look at those after the draft and see if we get anything interesting. Okay, no recognisable names here, but let's see if we open any big old bombs. We haven't got a plane. Oh man, I love Fevered Visions. I mean, I'm probably taking this. Each player's end step, that player draws a card. If the player's your opponent has 4 or more cards in hand, deals 2 damage to that player. I just really like it. It's not great, but it's really cool. I'm going to draft it because it's fun. Like, I'm all about having fun. There's so many different things that are worth doing, but this is one that I'm going to always enjoy. So we've got Outriders that just finds a human, which is good. Subjugator Angel is ridiculous. Tap all creatures your opponents control. 1 instant and 1 sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, then discard a card and exile this. Not bad. I think this time I'm going to try and force blue-red for this exact reason. So maybe we could look at things like bouncing things or controlling stuff. This is okay. We're going to look for like a design existence as well to like wheel. But I'm going to see if we can force this unless it becomes too obvious that we can't do it. So this is the Delirium. We can mill cards from our opponent. I mean, I don't see any reason not to take it. Spontaneous Mutation I remember actually being very good in this. But, I mean, Gossip Monger as well becomes really powerful. Let's see if we can go for mill. If we can mill people out, that would make me the happiest thing to do. I love weird, janky draft decks. There's every chance that this ends up becoming like a 0-3 drop. But honestly, in terms of starts, I love this. It's an absolute load of nonsense. I wonder if this has... there was the card that was it the Mythic Mill one? I see that's specifically draw and discard. It's not target player. But I mean, Dark Salvation's really good. But I think Mad Prophet does the job. Maybe, I don't know if Lab Maniac was in this. I don't think I've seen it so far in this. But this is really good for Madness cards and just in general for the spells, so let's just take that. Mad Prophet, far better than it should be. We are going to be looking for things like the Fiery Tempers, Alchemist Greeting, that sort of thing as like good removal spells. We want to find things that trigger Manic Scribe, put things in the graveyard. If we can find some 1-drops, we could even consider like a Brain in the Jar if that gets past to us. Because that was a rare in the original set, and I have drafted decks around it, which were actually surprisingly good. So let's see what comes up here. What have we got in these? Oh yeah, it's our wild cards. I think we've got a few, because I don't play much constructed. 450 uncommons, 619 uncommons, 54 rare and 45 mythics just waiting to go. And on top of that I think we've got nearly 6 volts as well, so can add a whole bunch onto that. Flameblade Angel. A source opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control. You may have Flameblade Angel deal 1 to that source's controller. But I think we're in the Pyrehound plan. Pyrehound is unreal in these decks. If we can get enough instant sorceries going, what we'd love is bounce spells. Bounce spells are so good with Fevered Visions. I cannot believe that Ride Down is here, like this late, but we are just going to take Galvanic Bombardment because it just gets better the longer it's in the longer it's here, and it's just super efficient removal. And if we can get like 2 or 3 of them, they start becoming ridiculous. Because I mean, when you get a 1 mana card dealing 4 to a creature, it's crazy good. We'll probably take as many of these as we can get. And also the there's the 2 mana one that draws a card for each copy of the blue one that draws a card for each copy in your graveyard. That would be great as well. Guys to the Archives, just scries. Eldritch Evolution is cool. Wiltfield Scarecrow is reasonable. Like, I actually think like Briarbridge Patrol might be the best thing here, but I don't see us playing any of these apart from maybe Wiltfield Scarecrow, so I'm going to put that in just to try and trigger Manic Scribe. This is such a janky deck. I love it. Was this an instant and sorcery, isn't it? Yeah, 1 instant card and 1 sorcery card. And then discard a card. So we definitely want some madness spells here for Shreds of Sanity. Okay, so what have we got? Honestly, none of these are what we want to be seeing. I think I'm going to take a second Scarecrow because we'll probably get a Magmatic Chasm later. Right, I'm just going to pop myself down here. Okay, well, I mean, the fact that we're still seeing Ride Downs is so worrying to me because it's just such a ridiculously good card. I mean, I'm going to take it because Essence Flux is medium. We want 1, maybe. Yeah, it's probably just 1. But we'll take the Ride Down just in case we get easy fixing or in case we have, like, a pivot. If we open something like an Avacyn, then yeah, we do pivot into red-white because we've only got 2 blue cards, really. And they're not that good. And there's been some good white coming. It is a shame if this is the case, but... So, Subjugator Angels here. Tap 2 target creatures and flashback. At this point, I think I'm just going to take Deny Existence and go for the counter. Like, Jace's Will's not bad. Angelic Purge is good. I mean, Fiendbinder was a really good aggressive card. I'm going to take the Angelic Purge. We could see ourselves changing around here. I'm going to take the blue-red fixing. It doesn't make sense not to take it, seeing as we do want to end up here. Faithless Looting is great. That's the sort of thing we want to find. What we'd really like to get is like 2 or 3 copies of Fevered Visions. I know it's ridiculous, but it really does work. Okay, we've got a 1 Essence Flux. That can be decent. I'm not really sure how we're winning at the moment, apart from just making a big Pyrehound, but Pyrehounds are good. I mean, that could make the list. It's not great. Ooh, Fiery Temper. That's probably what we want here. But Assembled Alpha is the 6 mana 5/5 reasonable thing. We'd love an Incendiary Flow, but Fiery Temper, when we've got things like Faithless Looting and Shreds of Sanity and Mad Prophet, it's super efficient. It's just Lightning Bolt a bunch of the time. The fact that it used to be common is insane to me. I love it. Take Inventory, that's the one, but Incendiary Flow is unreal. We've actually got some really good red. Like, our blue's a bit medium. Our white is 2 very decent removal cards, but we don't really have any win cons, and we need to pivot hard if we're going to go into the aggressive white deck. So I think we're probably still ending up blue, but we could see ourselves playing white if we need to. I still need to figure out what Jump In is. I'll have to have a look at some point. But I love Fevered Visions too much to not want to play it. Like, at the end of the game, it ends up just being quite slow unless you can find bounce spells or ways to sort of, you know, push stuff into your opponent's hand. But we want essentially cheap things. We want to discard. I've had games before where you go to discard at the end of your turn and you discard your Fiery Temper and deal damage that way. It's so good when you can get it to work. Ooh, Rattle Chains and Mercurial Geist. So Rattle Chains is the Spirit gains hexproof, so it's just a flash flyer for 2, but it's really useful for holding up things like counter spells. But Mercurial Geist is a 4 mana 1/3, and when you cast an instant sorcery, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Then we've got this, which is Sorceress Scarab. I'm almost tempted by Rattle Chains just because we're very low on creatures. How many spirits do we have? None. But Mercurial Geist is really good. I think we're going to take this with the intention of trying to push through. We wouldn't mind wheeling the Scarb or the Rattle Chains there. Convolute is medium. Explosive Apparatus helps us get the Delirium for the Scribe, if that's the way we want to go. Instant Neonate, so we really don't have many discard cards. I'm going to take the Gossip Monger in case we end up going for that pivot we mentioned earlier. If we can get a couple of things along these lines, it's really quite powerful. Because, I mean, really all we're losing is a couple of things. Village Messenger's another good one for aggressive list, but Ingenious Scarb keeps us having fun. But we don't actually have that many big things either. I mean, this could be the red-white aggro. Like, these I think might just wheel, and we're only on pack 2, so I'm going to take the Messenger just in case we want to make that pivot. What was the Slayer? Is it all equipment from your graveyard to your hand? Yeah, I don't care about that. This is one we want. Return non-land permanent to its own hand, then that player discards a card if you control a zombie, or Imprisoned in the Moon. So I'm going to go with Compelling Deterrence. Imprisoned is fine, but it's not as good as you might think. And I think if we can find like 1 or 2 zombies, and there are blue zombies quite often, it's one of their archetypes, so we only need a couple like those Scarbs, and we can really start putting this together. Again, I just like bounce spells, especially with things like Fevered Visions, to start just like putting enough things back in their hand that they can't actually pull them out and they're going to take some extra damage. How are we looking? I mean, I'm really not sure how. I think the right choice was to go red-white. You know, there's been a lot of good red-white cards. 2 Gossip Mongers is really hard to deal with early on, especially with a couple of pump spells. We saw like a Lunarch Mantle as well. So the Masquerade doesn't do much here. The Brute only mills ourselves. I mean, it does give our attacking creatures first strike, but honestly, because the Brute doesn't do much, I suppose actually it mills ourselves and we've got Shreds of Sanity to bring things back. And we do want some Delirium potentially, so we'll just take it. Don't think it's great, but it'll do. Wow, this is a lot of black cards, but none of them are great. Yeah, I'm not really fussed by any of these. I guess we'll take another Brute just in case. Hopefully we're not playing those. Faithless Looting, Rush of Adrenaline here. We've got 1 Apparatus, didn't we? No, okay, so we will take an Apparatus here. Just to have 1 thing to add to that Delirium count if we want to go for Manic Scribe. It's a shame that the Brutes can't target our opponent. But I think this is not unreasonable. Like, if we've got a couple of Manic Scribes, I wouldn't feel... There we go, we've got one of the Scarbs back. So that's a zombie as well. So this does mean I'm probably pivoting away from white, especially if we get another one of these. None of this matters. We'll take a wolf in the sideboard for now, I guess. So I think with this probably puts the Gossip Monger away. If we get fixing, I could see us playing Ride Down or Angelic Purge. Pyrehound and Geist are going to be big. Convolute can make the list. I really wish we had got that Rattle Chains back. It's not a particularly exciting card, so there's a good chance it could have wheeled, but I think us taking... Ooh, got another Scarb. What did we take instead? It was the Mercurial Geists, and that's just going to be nonsense. Second Apparatus, we'll put it in the main deck for now. We can consider cutting it. That sideboard. Come on, give us something. Arlinn Cord. I mean, it's powerful. There is an Incendiary Flow, though. I don't think I can pass up a Planeswalker. We've got Galvanic Bombardment, Incendiary Flow, and Fiery Temper already. I think we take this in the off chance that we can find some fixing for it. The fact Anguish I'm making is uncommon, and this is also pretty gross. Another Galvanic Bombardment's fantastic. That probably cuts us to cutting the Purge and the Ride Down, getting that bit of extra value out of them. Curious Homunculus, so it adds say mana for instant sorceries, and if there are 3 or more instant sorceries in your graveyard, you transfer it into a 3/4. Absolutely what we want. Really good uncommon, on theme, everything we could ask for. So Mystic Retrieval does the same sort of thing, brings stuff back. Strongkirk Occultist is fine. Honestly, Tattered Haunter could be what we want here. Just a 2-drop that can attack. This is awkward with some of our things like... actually, it's a Madness card though. We've got some Madness effects. I'm going to take this because of the Madness effects, although I do think Tattered Haunter could often be better. But we do want some Madness value, and that really does help us achieve that a little bit. Pyrehound here over a 3rd Scarab, because Pyrehound just gets bigger and bigger. I think this deck's looking really sweet. We've got Woodland Stream, which is great for us here. We don't, I think, need any of these. We've got Undying Existence. The Stream will help us potentially play Arling Chord, especially if you find one more, like a Terrarium would be good here. We can give something Double Strike, or we just play a Conduit of Storms. How are we looking costs? We've got loads of 3-drops, haven't we? Yeah, so on curve alone, I think I'm going to take the Deranged Whelp, even though I don't think we're playing it. I don't see us wanting to... What does this transform into? We'll take the Whelp. I still think the Whelp is probably more likely to be played on curve because we just have a lot of 3-drops already. Maybe we're slightly lacking in terms of things to do with Fevered Visions, but I can't bring myself to change it. Ember Eye Wolf was always okay. Jace's Scrutiny is really good actually, and so is Borrowed Hostility. I'm going to take the Hostility here. In fact, how are we doing for card draw? We're actually somewhat lacking, aren't we? Although we have got Fevered Visions. I'm going to take the Hostility though. We wouldn't mind if we had another option finding one. I guess a Shreds of Sanity here, even though I'm probably... Ooh, actually, Cryptolith Fragment is fixing. And I don't remember it being that bad. Like, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I'll take Anguish Unmaking because I could actually see, like, place somewhere, I imagine. Make Mischief. A good little spell, reasonable value, often does better than you think it should do. Because it's a sorcery speed, 1 damage and make a 1/1, but those 1/1s are really efficient a lot of the time. I'm not sure how I'm going to trim this down. We've got too many things that are good. One of the Scarecrows can go. I'll put the Wolf in. A Village Messenger can go. Put Tormenting Voice. We're not a Village Messenger deck. Not a Magmatic Chasm deck. Not a Merciless Resolve deck. So Essence Flux, I think, as well, might be an option to take out here because we don't have many Enter the Battlefield effects. So I don't know if that's really what we want to be doing here. It's good for protecting something, but that's really all it's going to do. Village Messenger could be a consideration if we're going that route, but we want to cut at least one Lab Brute. Cut Epitaph Golem. I think with Woodland Stream and Wiltfield Scarecrow and Cryptolith Fragment, we can actually play Arling Chord, which is great to just make wolves and then pump things up, or maybe get the emblem in the end. I think it's pretty reasonable. Probably cut one Apparatus. Like I said, Essence Flux, not really great for any of these. It's got the... Like, we do have the mill option, but I think Manic Scribe might be optimistic here. And then we're looking at probably cutting some 3-drops, so... Fiery Temper is realistically more like a 1-drop because we've got a lot of discard. Do you know what? I can actually see myself keeping all of the 3s and cutting... So cut the other Lab Brute. I don't think we need that. Mad Prophet and both Pyrehounds are great. As is Geist and Anacord. So these are set. We're keeping these. Where do we want to take a cut? So we don't need Delirium anymore, do we? Really? There's nothing here that screams Delirium, so the Apparatus can go. That was only really for the Scribe if we were going down that list, down that route, and we're not anymore. These all work really well, especially with our Pyrehounds and Geists. I mean, for instance, the Borrowed Hostility, cast that on its own, and the Geist ends up being a 7-power flyer, which is utterly mad. We can be throwing loads of these out. I really like the Compelling Deterrence, especially with 2 Scarbs as well. Although we didn't get much more than that. It's better than nothing. Eldrazi Homunculus is such a cool creature type. I think Wiltfield Scarecrow is worth it for splashing Arlen. Occultist is medium. We don't have that many Madness cards though, so I think it's worth it just for that effect. Make Mischief we can cut. Shreds of Sanity I think is worth it. Maybe Tormenting Voice, given that we've got Faithless Looting. Like, this is 2 for 2, this is less advantageous but more churning through your list. But we need, in fact, Ember Eye Wolf isn't what we need here. We're not the aggressive deck. We need enough instants and sorceries, so how are we looking on that front? 7 instants and 4 sorceries, that's pretty good. And Crypt with Fragment is also good. I remember this thing just being really funny. Whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 3 life, so you just, yeah, tap it a few times or just get them low. And yeah, you can eventually just dome them. Okay, so one more cut here. Maybe it's Faithless Looting, but I like it. I kind of want it to be maybe the Occultist, but then we don't really have anything to discard apart from 2 things. And at that point we should maybe look at cutting some of our discard things. Deranged Whelp is just the 2-1 menace, but I like having a couple of early drops because we're reasonably set on early game, but not hugely. I wish we had... I mean, we actually have got Strongclair Cultist as a non-tap-out threat if we've got ways of discarding, but that's going to have to be things like Faithless Looting. We don't have many to do it instantly. I know it sounds silly, but Deranged Whelp seems like it fits the curve here. So where are we going? There's one more cut. You have to forgive me for taking a bit of time here. I'm trying to make the right choice. It might even be Faithless Looting or Tormenting Voice. But also, the Whelp's just kind of decent to cut. But it's one of our only 2 proactive 2-drops. So I think I'm keeping that. Shreds of Sanity, 1 instant, 1 sorcery. We've got good instant and sorceries. I think it might be Cryptolith Fragment. I think this is just too optimistic. It's going to take really long to do, and it's going to damage us. But then again, I suppose Fevered Visions is a one-time sort of effect. Yeah, I like this. So we've got 6, 7, 8 blue sources, 7, 8 red. Seems pretty reasonable. And then 3 green just for Arlen. But we don't really have any double colours because Fiery Temper's probably just 1 red. I think this works. This is going to be the list that we're going to go with. So for now, I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to head to bed for the moment. And I will probably be back tomorrow to record the rest of this and hopefully have a great fun time drafting. So I'll see you then. Okay, we are back. I'm just going to quickly remind myself about the list because it has been about 12 hours since I recorded the draft. I know we had Arlencord and Fevered Visions with my 2 favourites, a couple of Galvanic Blasts, an Incendiary. Why is that gone? Incendiary Flow, there we go. And then some Scarbs, Geists, Pyrehounds. Seems pretty reasonable. I think we're lacking slightly in card draw, which is why I'm glad we've got Faithless Looting and Tormenting Voice, but Fevered Visions will make up for a lot of that. And I think this is pretty reasonable. I don't know how this is going to perform at all, but I think it could be really quite fun. And I really enjoy things with Fevered Visions. I know I said that in the previous part, but I played a standard deck. It was like a budget standard deck at the time. I had 4 copies of Fevered Visions. Ooh, got an April 1st April Fool's recording thing here. So it's a VHS recording. Interesting. 1993. Oh, are we going back to old school Magic style? I mean, this isn't great, but opponent going first, I think we can keep this. I hadn't even realised. So we do want to draw a blue source, but any red source is okay. Oh my god, we've got Pizza, we've got Lightning Bolt, D&D dice. This is cool, I like this. Goblin Balloon Brigade, yeah, I remember that card. Soul Ring Chips. Okay, this is something we're absolutely going to Incendiary Float. Faithless Looting is great for next turn. So yeah, we might as well just get... Ooh, this is quite loud in my headphones. Get rid of some of that. I'm loving the little table, so we've got a little hat and a wizard thing here. Okay, so here we're absolutely going to be Faithless Looting, trying to find an island. There we go, so discard 2 cards. What do we want to discard? It's probably Compelling Deterrence. And I think we do Convolute because then it gives us multiple things to get back with Shreds of Sanity. Yeah, because I think we're going to want to play all of our creatures. Even though this does mean we don't have anything to play now. We'll pass the turn here. So what we've got... Oh, these are Mox fruit snacks. So the same shape of the Mox emeralds. Okay, so... Interesting enough, I think here we do just play Mercurial Geists. The reason being is that we can't kill this turn anyway, and there's a chance we could Shreds of Sanity into Incendiary Flow or Compelling Deterrence. I was really hoping they wouldn't have their own Incendiary Flow here, but that is fine. So we're going to be having to Shreds of Sanity at some point anyway, so here I think we're just going to Wiltfield Scarecrow and hope they don't have Convolute, and we'll go for the Arling Cord. So whatever they do here, this is going to be getting discarded, then future turn we can bounce this and maybe Arling Cord afterwards. We just need to basically push our way to our bigger things. We're hoping just they don't have too many instants of sorceries here, that'll be the big deal. Also got Norton Crosses, so is that X damage to target if... Oh, so they're just burning me. Okay, because this has trample, doesn't it? Yeah. So this doesn't really matter, so we're just going to go down to 8, so we'll just activate this now. And we're going to get Forest Island. Oh, I forgot it goes to hand, doesn't it? Yeah. So I think what we do here is we actually just play... can we afford to do this? We might have to push this back. I'm trying to figure out, because we've got 6 here, so we can spend 5, it leaves us 7 next turn, which is 4 plus 3, so yeah. In fact, if we Shreds of Sanity and Ingenious Scarb, and then Incendiary Flow, we have to discard a card. It will be a second Forest. We don't need that. This is really tight as to what we do here, but I actually think I'm just going to main phase do this. I don't want to take any risks. Just get that off the battlefield and start dealing with getting additional value next turn. Hopefully they'll just play... If they play that into Pyrehound, we're in such a good spot. Okay, good. Okay. So now we can play Arling Cord. We can play our Scarb. And we could just hit for 4 here, or we can make a wolf. I think making the wolf and transforming is better, because then we can start pushing up slowly towards the more impactful side. And now we've got a Planeswalker on the battlefield that they have to deal with. Yeah, so they're going to have something here. Potentially, if they just deal 3 damage to this, that's awkward, but we've got more than enough damage. Okay, Silent Departure's not bad. So, because we have Arlen here, I think it's just better to just deal with this immediately.
Wild spirits,
and Incendiary Flow. And we can pump this once. In fact, we can pump it twice. And just attack. Hope for no Galvanic Blast. There we go, that's the end of the turn. We're leaving up Fiery Temper here on purpose, because we want to be able to either activate it now or potentially next turn Faithless Looting it. So they could just use Silent Departure here to get some tempo. Okay, they can kill Arlen, that's fine. That's good for us, it leaves us a creature alive.
Have dire consequences.
If they went for the creature, we could have obviously just Fiery Tempered their face to keep it alive, which would be useful. Okay, back to our turn. Okay, this is good. Fevered Visions is great here. Get the Prowess trigger. This is sorcery, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm not going to spend anything here just in case we draw a counterspell, because we don't want to spend our blue on that. And what have they got? Is this a... Okay, mutation, bear with me. Oh, forgive me there, I just had to sneeze quickly. So we could still use this in the future, but it's not the end of the world. Galvanic's nice, so we're going to be able to start dealing with their threats quite nicely here. Yeah, we'll let that resolve. And I'm actually going to wait here to just use it so that we can do it on our turn and potentially just pump up the Scarb a little more. Or do we need to? I mean, maybe we even just want to Fiery Temper it, but that's a bit inefficient. I think wait till our turn and see what we get. So we can Galvanic Bombardment, but it doesn't really get us anywhere. What do we do? I kind of want to save the Fiery Temper. I think we just hold this back. It's a lot of investment to do anything with it. And I'm going to hold the land as well in case we want to Fevered Visions it. So we're just going to draw an extra card here. Okay, Deny's great. There we go. Here I am just going to Galvanic just while they're tapped out. Because we're not as worried about Magnifying Glass, especially if we want to fill their hand up. So this thing is never going to be able to deal damage. Take inventory, sure. So again, this puts them down to 22, so we're not miles away. We're obviously never going to deal damage, but we just both get an extra card per turn. So we're actually going to mill out first, so we do need to find ways of killing them. Yeah. Our turn. Mad Prophet's great. Do you know what the funny thing is? The best thing about Mad Prophet here is that we can just attack straight away. And it sounds bizarre, but that's absolutely what we want to do. We want to just, like, I know it's obviously a good card, but I think we still leave this just in case. We want to get damage in, basically, is what I'm getting at. So Homunculus is great. We want that on the battlefield. We're fine with them drawing more cards, especially if they crack like 1 or 2 clues here. Like, because if they start taking damage from Fevered Visions, we're ahead in that respect, because we've got a bit of burn in hand as well. Okay, that's fine, I think. We've just got more mana. Can't complain. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Yep, they're going to draw a card. Our turn. There we go. So this Homunculus could actually be really useful for us. Again, though, I'm trying not to rush things, because we don't want to waste our spells. No attacks. Draw another card. So we're going to run out of cards quite quickly, but I think we have got enough power to push through this if this transforms. I mean, it does make our spells cheaper, but it's not so much that, it's more the wanting to be able to deal damage. That's all we really want here, is to deal some damage. Like, drawing Convolute at this point is pretty awful, but I think it might be in the yard, isn't it? Yeah, we put it down already. And another Imprisoned. Okay. We need, if we had bounce spells now, but then it's non-land permanent, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So we don't even have a way of bouncing it. We might run out of threats. Teferi was here. We are Teferi. I wonder if it's different drawing for different characters. That'd be fun. A unicorn with a cat. There is a world and we could actually just push for the Scarb. Okay, yeah, Village Messenger's fine. We don't care about that. Honestly, I think we could even just push with the Scarb here and maybe even get some damage out. Yeah, this isn't... They're at 15, we're at 13, so we do need to... There we go, there's our Pyre Hound. Right, so at this point, I'm going to play the Pyre Hound out. I am going to Tormenting Voice and discard Fiery Temper, but... Oh no, that was wrong. I didn't want to discard Fiery Temper because I spent the wrong mana. Okay, well, we'll just do this, just to get out of 3 ranged spells, and we'll keep other things available in case we need to pump. And we haven't played... Yeah, we can't play another red source city issue, so... Yep, we're still going to end it here. But now we have a Pyre Hound which can really start putting out the damage. We've got our second one as well, which is great. So we've got a very short time scale ourselves because we're running out of cards. But I think we can push through enough damage to make this work, especially if they just try and play a big creature. Silent Departure could be good here. It's a good time for them to use it. But honestly, I think we're in a good spot. If they don't use it here, we're fine. They've got 7, 8, 10, 11 mana. Well, that's absolutely what we're going to deny existence. We cannot cope with a Pyre Hound existing any more than we have to. If they then use Silent Departure here, that's a good tempo play for them. Yep, perfect. There we go. And they can attack with this, but it doesn't do anything. And we can just play 2 Pyre Hounds and hopefully churn through. I mean, they could try drawing a card. So I think we're nearly at the point where we start burning face once we get these Pyre Hounds down. Faithless Looting may just be gone forever. Why is it tapping double red for these? Oh. So let's just tap this manually for the other Pyre Hound. And we're going to keep Fiery Temper here. Because we want to be able to react in case a 3 damage spell comes through. And then next turn there's a good chance we can kill them. Between Borrowed Hostility, Fiery Temper, maybe Faithless Looting if we need to. Yeah, so they're looking for answers. And because these have Trample, we can also just burn face easier. Okay, come on OP. Dr. Jones, Dr. Jones. No, I need to not. Okay, what's the play? We're hoping it's not just... Funnily enough, we're just short of being able to deal with that. So yep, that's just the hard cast. Alchemist Greeting works. Because this isn't any toughness, is it? No. If we had a means of discarding, we'd be okay, but... Yeah, and what's their follow-up? Pieces of the Puzzle. Wow. Hang on. Oh, there's not another Imprisoned in the Moon. Oh, no, it's Instant or Sorcery. So they can't actually pick anything. Which means that they're down to 6 cards and we're at 7, so... 5... We're ahead on everything now. They're down to 5, yeah. So we'll Galvanic this, put a counter here. To be honest, I think we just attack. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 damage here. So we just hold for now. Pay the Occultist. Because we should... Yeah, if all goes to plan, we should have access to lethal next turn. At this point, we're just going to play another land. So we draw down to 5. They've got Bombardment, that's fine. We don't care about Bombardment. We just want our Pyre Hound to live. Pyre Hound is threatening lethal as it stands at the moment. Tormenting Voice, oh my goodness. So we're nearly at the point where we can just pass the turn. They're down to 2 cards and we've got 5, so unless they can force us to draw a bunch, we're going to win this on card draw. We can mill them out. Because we're going to go down to 3, they're going to go down to 0, we're going to go down to 1, they're going to lose. They've got 2 cards left. Unless they've got a Lab Maniac. Ooh, my hair's got a bit fluffy. I still feel like Lab Maniac was in this format at some point. The interesting thing about this is that we're now incentivized to just push for damage because then there's not much they can do. So if we attack with this, we borrowed Hostility to give it +3/+0. Go to 7. I think I'm going to just attack this and then leave it, because they're going to lose to Fevered Visions in their end step, and this way, if they don't have any, if they have another way of basically affecting things here, because we're now down to 3 cards, we can then Fiery Temper in response in the face. So they have nothing left. They have to basically go for lethal here, and we can just do this in response. There we go, burn from within for 8. And if they don't have a counter spell, we win. There we go. That was actually really close. Our opponent, that might have been their last card. I'm surprised we got there. Like, it is sometimes a risk holding things, but my thought was, if they have a way to win, it might take a lot of mana and we can respond to that rather than just firing it into open mana and giving them a full untap next turn. So for instance, if they had a way of discarding that instant speed, we might have been in trouble. Okay. So that's our first one down. Let's carry on with this. They had multiple Imprison in the Moons that were actually really well timed, and we didn't draw our threats until later on, so it was actually a bit of a push as to whether we were going to make it. This 90s thing is so good because it goes from 2023 to 1993. Non-potable water is our opponent. Great. This is fine. If we're first, it's even better. It is. Because Homunculus is good, and then Scarecrow is a good follow-up, and then we can hold up Deny Existence or Scarecrow activation if we need it. Or at this point, maybe we just hold up Deny Existence if they don't play anything good here. Lone Rider, so this is if you gained a load of life, yeah. Funnily enough, we could potentially just escalate that, but this Scarecrow just deals with Lone Rider on its own anyway. And this only taps, for instance, of sorceries, so we can't do anything with that yet anyway. The Cathar is good, yeah. So here it's nice because we can actually play our Deranged Whelp and hold up multiple other activations, but here I actually think we just want the Scarecrow. It would be good if they had another Cathar, but we have got the ability to give something First Strike, or the ability to give something +3/+0, so we'll have to see what they do here. It's a shame we can't quite do both. If they just play a big creature, yeah, that's fine. They can equip it to the Lone Rider and then just attack for health. Yeah. Good thing about this is if we block like this, we can give this creature. We can't afford both because it's escalate 3. So we can give this +3/+0 and it deals with the Lone Rider. There we go. So that's actually a pretty good trade for us overall. At this point, I don't like any of this. We're just going to attack because we're out of steam and we need to find card draw early on. We're going to hold the mountain back for things like Tormenting Voice or what's it called? Why is my brain gone? The 1 mana draw 2 discard 2 with flashback. Why can't I remember what that's called? Obsessive Skinner. I think we counter that because we can't deal with the flying threat in the air getting too big. So we'll just skip back to our turn. There we go. Piehound's great. I can't remember what it's called. It's going to... Faithless Looting. There we go. I've played that card so many times. The fact I couldn't remember it then was such a worry to me. But Tormenting Voice would be ideal here if you just like use Mountain Forest, ditch a mountain, draw 2, hope it's not Arling Cord. You maybe play something else for the Homunculus. Please don't kill it straight away, or pacify it or something. Faith Unbroken would be... Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with them sacking a land for that. Like, they're not going to need the lands, but it's still better than nothing. Get Griff Spoon, fine. They're going to attack for 2 in the air. 3 in the air. The awkward thing about this is just 1 removal spell and we're pretty good. Okay, so Arling Cord's really awkward here because we can't actually transform very easily, which is very strange. We can make a wolf but then it dies. It's weird when drawing a Planeswalker isn't correct. Yeah, all it does is make a wolf and then die. I mean, we could just put it on this and give it Vigilance and Haste and force them to attack us for a few turns. I think it's better than not doing it. So make our Homunculus worth trading with. Because if they trade, then they can't kill Arlinn on the backswing. Yeah, so they can't kill this anyway without a pump spell. I don't think Arlinn's going to be good here. I think it's going to be pump once, eat 2 hits, make a wolf. Like, I don't see... Unless we draw a removal spell here, which would be perfect.
I'm trying to save all of us.
And if they don't have a creature as well, that is. We kind of just need a spell into 2 removal spells. We're not in a great spot in terms of keeping pressure. Okay, that's fine. If we get a removal spell at its instant speed and we can deal with that on their turn, then Arlinn lives. Of course we don't. So let's make a wolf and transform Arlinn toward. And then we'll pass a turn. And all we did was play a 4/4 wolf that deals 2 damage to the face. But it's... I think it was the right thing to do because we needed to slow the game down a little bit. We're going to start taking... Like, for instance, we'd be at 14 going to 11 here. I think that's far more threatening. But we don't have a way of... Okay, yeah. So if they're just going to attack with that for 4... We can multi-block it. I don't like it, but it only really takes out 2 things that aren't that useful, but this can become useful. Doppelgeist, yep, that's pretty awkward. So now if they just tap the Scarecrow... The Scarecrow is the one that I'd tip so that I could you force me to block with something better. We've kind of flooded out a lot here. We've drawn how many spells? 3, 4, 5, 6 spells and 7 lands. That's not too bad. Slightly disproportionate, but not the worst. And now this can just get through because it'll be a 4/4. Yep, so we can't do anything about that. Like, I did think it was likely Arlinn died here, but we needed to find ways to delay here. We actually almost want to keep Griffspoon here because we don't want to give something else flying. So let's see. I'm going to keep both of these in case we get a Faithless Looting. Still forgetting the name of it. But I think this one might just be a flood situation. Oh no, we've actually drew 50-50 on it because we had Pyrehound that got exiled. But then again, they've drawn 5, 6 lands because they sacrificed 1. Yeah, and then they've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spells. Plus 2, yeah. We're definitely flooding out a bit here. So that's 6 in, sorry, 4 in the air, that's fine. Pass the damage. Like, so taking out Toppelgeist will be good here. That's something we want to do actively. That doesn't help us do it. There's, yeah, good chance that Flood just is the end of it here. We've got quite a good bit of Flood mitigation as well, with quite a few spells that do the same sort of thing. And we've also got like Mercurial Geist that can block these. We've got removal spells for them. Travel prep, yeah. So the big travel prep here puts us down to, I want to say 1? Yeah, so it's very unlikely we have any outs here. I'm trying to think we'd need to like... What's it called? So they need to not get Delirium. We need to like Tormenting Voice into Incendiary Flow and a bounce spell. Yeah, there we go. And that's magic. It is something that sometimes happens. It's a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. We drew a load more lands and spells. I think we had a good chance versus that deck. We had cheap removal. We had, you know, value creatures. We could increase our value over time with like the Pyrehounds and the Prowess creatures, but sometimes that just happens. Also, if we'd have drawn our Fevered Visions, that's a really bad matchup for Fevered Visions because we're just handing more resources to them. We'd have still played it because we need more answers, and their threats are probably less than our answers are at that point, as in most of our answers deal with their threats. But you never know. We're going to have to just sort of consider what we've got to work with at the time, and in that case it was a lot of lands. Hammer MTG. I think I can touch that. This is good. Excuse me, a good hand. We've got Tormenting Voice with a couple of options. We've got all our colours, Galvanic Bombardment. So if this is a decent early drop, we can just poke something down. I think we're just going to play the island and pass here. No reason to Tormenting Voice quite yet. We want to save that for when we can get value out of it. We do have a 3-drop one to play, so we'll just Galvanic Bombardment that. And Faithless Looting's nice. We are going to play the Forest just because at some point we probably want to play Arlincord, and the next 2 turns we're just going to be trying to get a bit of extra value out. Byway Courier. Okay, so what's nice about this turn is we can actually play Curious Homunculus because we're going to want to play this anyway, but not like that. So we'll start with Faithless Looting. Draw 2, discard 2. So we're going to discard the Stream and Fiery Temper. With Fiery Temper, we're going to Madness it. Kill the Byway Courier, which puts that in the graveyard. We'll then attack with our Stormcloak Occultist and see if it's something that we need. Yeah, hopefully it's not like Arlincord specifically. We've already played a land this turn, so then we just play our Curious Homunculus and pass the turn. So we're actually going to have 6 power minimum on the battlefield. We're going to be able to play... which was this one? Put a 1... oh yeah, it gives 1/1 till end of turn. Add a Gossip Monger, so they can tap those if they want to. Our spells cost less now, which is awesome. We are going to play the land. We'll just attack with both of these. Yeah, we'll see what they do. I almost think we're okay with that. And we'll just keep hold of Compelling Deterrence. Well, now we can just cast it. And that stops them investigating as well. Wait, does that have to... oh, it has Trample as well. Awesome. Okay, there we go. For some reason I didn't realise that had Trample. Yeah, that's our opponent kind of just losing on value pretty early on there. So that's kind of the opposite. We had a really good draw there. They had one that just didn't line up well with what we had. Yeah, I didn't realise that thing had Trample. So is that 2 wins now? 2 wins. So 3 to be okay, 4 to be happy. So a few more games at least to get a good bit of progress, but honestly, I know I said I'm not going to make this like a Magic the Gathering channel, and I'm really not. It's not something I've got much intention of going for loads and loads of gameplay on, but when a really fun draft format comes back, and I really did enjoy Shadows over Innistrad the first time, I'm absolutely going to be trying to do a few of them, especially if I've got the gems to do so without having to, invest real money. Because as much as I love this sort of thing, I can't be investing huge tons of money on a regular basis. It's just not something I've got the ability to do at the moment. So that's why I want to do things like this. Still gets me every time. For some reason it makes me think of Control, and I don't know why. It just makes me think of those videos in the game Control where like, stuff started talking to you. I'll keep this because we're on the draw and we've got Mad Prophet. It's not great, but they're going to think we're on... okay, that's a good draw. They're going to think we're on Werewolves, especially if we start with a Deranged Whelp. So basically that's the same start from both of us. Unblockable 2/1s each, but they're slightly ahead of us. This is a turn we'd really like to draw the red sword, sorry, the blue sword, so we can play our Scarb into Prophet. So we're actually playing the same style of list, but they just haven't realised it yet because we're playing the wrong land. But if not, we will Tormenting Voice. We'll ditch Convolute probably, because we want to keep lands. Although, maybe just a mountain. If we draw another mountain, we'll do that. Okay, so that's good for us, because we can just play Woodland Stream. And at this point, we Tormenting Voice a mountain away. Shreds of Sanity and Arlincord is good. I'm going to go with no attackers here. I just want to deal with the Falcon Wrath Gorge, just to be honest. Yeah, I will absolutely block this. That's what we're here for. We're not here to try and mess around with anything. I just want to try and work myself up to being able to deal with things properly. So, to be efficient here, we can't yet deal with Arlinn next turn is the problem. But they could have Convolute or something else. So I think here I'm almost tempted just to pass and Convolute whatever they play. Because any of these, losing any of these is bad, but I think Mad Prophet's the worst of them, so Let's Mad Prophet and see if they just convolute or deny existence it. I'm okay if they do. I imagine, yeah, deny comes out. So we could have potentially played Arlen there into that, but I just wanted to get them to use their resources up on something that's not as important. I actually think in this situation I prefer the Scarb over it. So let's play our Scarb, see if they... There we go, right. So now this makes things a little bit nicer for us because we can start applying pressure again on the back, so pressure back towards them. We'd love to be able to get Arlen called out and protect it somehow, but I don't think that's really going to happen. If this is Incendiary Flow, 3 damage to me, 4 to the creature. Yep, that's pretty great. If I can get this to 4 toughness as well, but not to 5. If it was the other way around, 4 to me, 3 to the creature. So now I need to see if I can deal with this. Incendiary Flow I can. I don't have anything else in there to really take. So the first thing to do is Faithless Looting here. This is not good. So we're going to have to ditch Convolute and probably Borrowed Hostility here. We will Incendiary Flow this, just so that we're not going too far behind, and hopefully find a route to play Arlen Cord safely next turn. And that's one of our better ways of coming around. So they've used 1 Deny Existence. They could have a Convolute here. They don't. And we've got a Planeswalker.
Our hearts beat with wild
Okay, the fact that they had to skip a whole turn there is so good for us, especially if we then get to untap and... Wow, that's their whole turn. Okay. So, if we had a 2-mana creature here, that would be perfect, but for now... Let's just... And we could push 3 damage through, but I think we'll just... Give creatures trample
Our enemies
and pass the
can't
turn.
run forever.
We're just going to keep ticking this up and try and play Deny Existence into their next creature if we can't kill it with other things. Yeah, this is all fine. Because what we want to do is find land so that we can play multiple things in a turn. That's fine. We're just going to Fiery Temper that. No sense in taking any risks here. Okay, so... A Pyrehound is probably worth it. So we'll play the Pyrehound. Just buff it temporarily. They could have Incendiary Flow here, which is really bad for us, or anything like Alchemist Greeting, or loads of stuff that kills Pyrehounds. But I think getting it out and being able to hold up Deny potentially is a way of us just winning the game. You know, there's no real issue there. Flash Flying, yeah. What's this going to be? Oh, they were just waiting for us to be tapped out. Nice, okay. So we could Compelling Deterrence, or we can just kill it and attack. And that holds up Deny Existence and Compelling Deterrence. Yeah, I think we just kill it and then start churning out wolves. This is all fine. No value for you. And we're just going to keep attacking. There we go. And now we can hold up Deny Existence. If we get more lands, we can play other things. We can just push damage out. Okay, yep, that's fine. You can have all the cards you want. I think we're just ahead in terms of board state. We'd love 1 more land so we can play the Scarecrow and hold up Deny Existence, even though it's a defender. It's just a useful thing to have. Yeah, I think we're okay with that. So there's the land. So we've got Convolute as an instant, and Incendiary Flow as a sorcery seems good to me. So let's just deal 3 damage here.
We have predator instincts.
We'll attack. Shreds. Oh, we should have. Well, I've just missed out on a bit of damage here, but we'll take Convolute and we'll take Incendiary Flow. So we missed 1 damage here, but that's our own fault. And we'll discard the Scarecrow at this point. End turn. We didn't want to take anything that we wanted to discard immediately because it's just not really any use to us there. So it's funny, is if they've got something you can play around Convolute, they're probably not going to, and then we can look at playing things like Deny Existence to play around it. So if they try, as in, they might try and play around Convolute with the Spirit. Honestly, do I have a problem with that? No. I don't like it, but I don't have a problem with it. I think that's just going to be a fact of life for us at this point in time. We'll keep that, and I think we just make wolves.
Unleash the pack.
I think just making a wolf every turn is going to be our play here. And the fact that they can flash in Storm Rider Spirit if they want to into a Convolute is pretty awkward for them. I think at this point we just Convolute anything we can. So we're just going to attack with our wolf. They're going to flash in the Storm Rider maybe? No? Okay. Oh. We've already transformed, haven't we? Honestly here I almost don't hate just pushing damage to the face. We're not going to get to the ultimate. We'll keep these. One, 2, 3, and then 1. So we can do everything we want to if we need to next turn. I think we just end the turn here. And just we're going to keep going between damage here. So then we can just deny existence. And hold up Convolute for anything at all that becomes relevant. If they want to do 2 things in a turn. I mean, it's obviously going to be difficult for them to do so, but... Arlen's currently on... I can't see. Go away. Arlen's on Happy Arlen, which is not ideal. Let's just Convolute that. Make them tap out. So we can get an extra creature out of this. There we go. Okay, so now we're just on the Faithless Looting plan, I believe, although we definitely want to tap like this. Probably discard Island, Mountain. Play the Mountain. Galvanic Bombardment. Incendiary Flow to exile it, so we can't bring it back. I think we just transform, make another wolf. Again, more threats here I think is better because we can pump multiple creatures next turn or just deal 3 damage somewhere. They can't bring back their Scarab. This puts them down to 0 if they don't have anything because we can just 3 damage the face. So let's just see if they let this through. If they have nothing to do. Okay, Elder Deep Fiend, nice. So they can block one of them. Are they going to tap all of our blue mana? Which is funny because we've got an island in hand. Yep, and then here we can just 3 damage to them and transform it.
Our hearts
Play a
beat
land,
with wild vigor.
play Mercurial Geists. So now I don't really know what they can do. They're going to need multiple blockers or just hope we don't hit something. I mean, there's no world where we don't just block here just in case. Because if they had something that could... Yeah, they could have the double strike spell, so... We attack and win. GG Nivra 13, I think it is. Not Nivral 3. Nivra 13. Like, I think in that situation, in case they had the +1 and double strike, we just absolutely block there. Uncaged Fury, that's the one. I've beaten someone with that out of a game I had no right in winning before, so happy to stop that as and when we can. Okay, so we're up to the place where we're not unhappy. Any less than 3 and we're unhappy because we've only got back like 400 gems, and given that it's 1500 to enter, that's not a good position to be in. We want to be at least getting 1400 so that every so often we can either boost that by getting a better result, or we can just go ahead and use the daily quests to do a quick event and top it up in that respect. Like I said, I'm not trying to invest anything into this at the moment. I can't really justify putting a constant cash influx into a game, so I just need to be good. This is still such an odd choice, but I do like it. A little April Fool's thing. Wonder if you can tell when I'm recording this. This is... The opponent's on the play. I'm going to keep this because it's fair, but it's not great. We want to draw a Galvanic Blasts, Incendiary Flows. Okay, they've mulliganed, that's good for us. Have they got another mulligan? Okay, no, just the one. But having all three of our colours and at least a 3-drop is not the worst. We've got a lot of cheap interaction in the list. We just haven't drawn it yet. If they pass here, we're in a good spot. I was about to say Olivia's Dragoon's probably the worst thing we could see at this point, but do you know what? Graph Rats I don't hate because we can just play the Scarecrow into it. Pass, please. There we go. If we play the Scarecrow into it, they can't attack through easily, so it doesn't give them an easy life. Like, our slow hand isn't getting punished too badly. What's this follow-up here? If they're missing a land, that's good. Ember Wolf. Okay, so they could have just played that first. Got him for an extra point. Yeah, the big old oops from our opponent, but that's pretty standard here. It is +2/+0, so they can't even pump it. So there's no attack here for them. They're going to be... Okay, a tap land's good for us as well, gives us more time. They can make this a 3 power, and then if they attack with both, we still just eat the Graph Rats, and if they just attack with this, we just bounce off anyway. Okay, cool, the Bloodline, nice. So this is where we get excited, because Pyrehounds can come into play. And then next turn we can play Pyrehound and hold up Borrowed Hostility and potentially protect it, so if they have like a Fiery Temper or something like that, we can actually keep it safe as well. So let's see what happens. I just don't want this to be a Fiery Temper immediately situation. But they can make a Knight once per turn. It's a free, well not free, it's a 1-cost discard outlet. So there's lots of things they can do with it. That's really good for us. So we play this. Play Pyrehound, pass the turn. And now we're in a great spot. So what are they going to play here? Can't block unless you control another wolf or werewolf. Yeah. So here we just block with a Scarecrow. See what they do. I mean, yeah, this is fine. If they want to waste a spell on a Scarecrow, we're all good on that front. So pop another land down. Honestly, at this point, I think we just attack with both the Hounds. And just hold up the ability to Borrowed Hostility for loads. So what are they going with? Yeah, what's the discard? Stentia Masquerade, so their attacking creatures have first strike. So that doesn't do anything, it just gives them the 1/1 Knight. So what are their blocks here? Okay. And we just play our Scarb out. Okay, and I think this could be another one. This is only... So this can be activated twice, so it can go up to 5. But it's only +2/+0. So in theory we could potentially give this first strike, give this +3/+0, block there and there, and not have any real issues here. It depends on what they've got to discard or what they've got to play here. Deadweight, sure. Does that change much? Oh, because you can only do one of these at the moment. So this can still activate twice. Okay, yeah, that attacking would be wrong because we could block there. So we're just going to block here. Let's see what they do. I'm expecting them to pump here because they don't have many resources left. Okay, they didn't, so we can just give +3/+0 to this. Put some counters on our creatures. Like, this could have been a contender. We could have actually double activated, or sorry, single activated because we don't have enough, and killed it. But this is just pushing our Pyrehounds forwards, and they're going to lose the Howlpack Wolf most likely. There we go. I apologise if throughout this video you can hear my phone going off, by the way. Okay, so we've got another Scarb. So one more land I think is where we want to get to. So they would have to trade 2 fairly useful creatures in exchange for a Pyrehound. So I think I'm actually just willing to make that offering. See what they have to say there. There we go, and play. Well, that's not how we want to tap at all. Play the Scarab. I'm not really sure where we go from here, because obviously them having first strike is really good for them. Oh, that I don't care about. Because that's when an opponent... Each player has 10 or less life. Yeah, every time they tap that, our race gets better. They can only pump this slightly. So realistically, this is the only thing they can attack with. Yeah, there we go. So again, they have to trade 2 creatures for one of our Pyrehounds. So I'm going to attack with all 3 of ours, because this also just reduces the use of the Cryptomyth Fragment. So all 3 of our useful things can attack. Again, they don't know we don't have any spells here, so if they don't block anything, they just lose. That's fine. 2 for 1. Yeah, that can go there, and then here I think we just want to kill the wolf. They've already got a discard out, so this is less valuable, even though this one does draw them cards. Actually, no, the wolf is only effective on offense, so this is probably what we want to do. And we still hit them for 3 here. Yeah, if they forgot that, that would be awkward. There we go. So yeah, we hit them 3 because we get through 1 extra, but then they gain 1. So now they're just down to the wolf. Cryptomyth Fragment's not going to come up anytime soon. They can't be too aggressive. We will just block with the Scarab if we need to. They could just call the Bloodline to make a vampire, I guess. What they'd want here is something you can discard to draw cards, but I don't think they've got enough. Like, there's no madness draw a card. Like, there's one in the old Innistrat set, but there's not one in this as far as I'm aware. Okay, my turn. That's a great draw. So just poke this, see what happens. If it dies, we're in a really good spot, because we've got 6 damage coming through now. So we'll attack both. And we will pump this because there's no reason not to. There's no instant speed 1 damage thing that doesn't also already do 2, unless they just want to block the Call the Bloodline thing. Fiery Temper maybe? Oh, we did Vampire, okay. So they can block our Scar, but that's fine. But they can't block the Pyrehound. And I don't think there's any way they can really gain the life efficiently here. So I don't think we even care much about that. Unless this had lifelink, we'd mess around, but yeah, so this just makes them gain. We'll take 2 essentially, because we deal 4, so 3 go through, but then they gain 1. This is fine. And Cryptomyth Fragment they just can't use. So back up to 6. There we are. And we're going to keep these in hand so it looks like we've got spells. We don't, but they don't know that. Oh, they've got something here. This could be a removal spell. We wouldn't mind drawing like a counter spell here, like Convolute's actually not bad considering they've barely got any mana. Or even just anything aggressive. Like, I don't know if we even want like Fevered Visions here, we just want something that pushes through a bit more. Like any removal spell, Incendiary Flow is borderline lethal with 1 off. Any card draw, like Faithless Looting, Tormenting Voice. Graph Rats is back, yeah. So they've got enough damage to kill this now. So we need to draw something. We do, perfect. So we're just going to attack with this, see if they go for the double block, and then we're just going to get the extra value out of it. Sure. Doesn't matter which one we target, because actually I think that's our second one, so we could have targeted that and got through more damage, but oh well. Essentially we lost 2 damage here, which is pretty awkward. We could have had them down to 2, but this could be enough. Yeah, having them down to 2 is actually different, because then Fiery Temper or Incendiary Flow win, and I think we've still got those left. Yeah. So that was a mistake on my part there, but we draw Incendiary Flow, of course. I bet you now that they bounce this and they start the comeback. Yeah, I didn't check the galvanic beforehand. I just was like, oh, it's fine, we're in the lead here. If they're just discarding to this, then it means they don't die. But depending on... Okay, they didn't have a spell, so this means we do win. Because we're just going to get to Incendiary Flow for lethal. Because it's any target. Yeah. Go to 1. And we'll Incendiary Flow your face when you have no option. That Cryptolith Fragment, this is exactly why we didn't put it in the deck. I think it was this deck. Maybe it was the last deck? I think it was this one though. No, it was this one. And yeah, you can end up in a situation... I didn't even remember it as both players need to be below 10, and we're not going to be wanting to take any more hits than we have to. So there's a good chance we start on a low life total, so we never get to flip that, but sometimes you do get to bone it out. So that takes us to 4 wins, is it? 1400 gems. Perfect. We can keep going and see how well we do from here. It's been a good little session so far. That's quite cool artwork in the background. For me, that feels like a Sacred Foundry or something, but it's too dark artwork-wise. But I like the look of it. Ooh, Queen C versus Underhaul. Back to 1993 we go. Yeah, this is great. We've actually got a really quick flip onto the homunculus here. So if they play anything cheap, nope. Counterspell is great, and all of these are instants as well, so we can just hold them up and just flip this whenever. Anything good here? More Captive. We're going to bombardment that immediately. And we're just going to pass the turn. Because we don't want to just let something through that we can't deal with, so Convolute is pretty useful here. Okay, so now we probably do want to Faithless Looting. Leave up Convolute still. We didn't draw a land, so Mad Prophet and Borrowed Hostility are what's going away here. Although, yeah, no, that's what we want. So we're just going to pass the turn and hold up Convolute still. Okay, I don't think our opponent's got anything. We just kind of... Well, each creature controls a wolf or werewolf gets +1/+1 and trample. Sure. We don't really have anything to do about that anyway. What we want to do is counter the creatures. I mean, that does help a little bit. So let's just convolute that because we can. And then we're going to flip this. And Compelling Deterrence is now 1, but... So we're just going to start putting damage down. We don't want to give them cards because we're both struggling on mana, but we're ahead on the board, and we've got bounce spells and threats, and they don't necessarily. Spirit of the Hunt. Okay, so is this non-land permanent? Yes, so we can return Howlpack Resurgence, which gets us a double prowess trigger. Then they'd have to discard something, yep. Which is also good because we know they don't have spells in hand. Gatstaff Arsonists, yeah. We can then... We could just Incendiary Flow this. And just push in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 damage, yeah. I factor 10. Because we can pump this. So we get them down to 7. That's going to be a hard comeback for our opponent, especially seeing as Fevered Visions is guaranteed 2 damage a turn, basically. If they're going to be drawing 2 cards every time, the chances of them surviving is pretty slim. So let's just play Fevered Visions out. Get more triggers, put the lethal threat on the board, so they have to actually try and kill something here if they want to. Yeah, there we go. Because the thing is as well, Fevered Visions itself will probably win that game on its own because they're playing big, slow things. I did have fun. Yeah, they're playing big, slow things, so it's going to take a lot more time for them to empty their hand, and if we start putting 2 cards in a turn with a threat of taking 2, they're going to have to play so much less efficiently. So we're now back up to the profit section, which is great. We've only had 1 loss, and we only need 2 more wins, so this is another successful draft in my opinion. I wasn't quite as sure how this one was going to go, but the fact that so far we've got 4 wins, 7 wins, and now we're already at 5, I'm glad it doesn't feel like I've lost my touch in terms of Magic. You know, obviously we're not at the higher ranks, we're not playing the best players, we don't know like the format as well as we could do, but I'm still happy to have this sort of good experience, seeing as I've done a few drafts here and there, but not many at all, and I used to do sort of like 10-14 a week. This seems fine. We've got an easy removal spell, we've got card draw, this is something to ditch, Scarecrow to find more lands if we can get there. I think this seems pretty reasonable, especially if they play like an early 1-drop. Faithless Looting is going to be able to play next turn most likely, because this needs to die. Yeah, being able to kill an Olivia's Dragoon early on is super great. Plus we don't want to risk having to leave that on the battlefield if we draw a 2-drop, is what I was about to say. So we're going to be able to flip that probably not this coming turn, but the one after if it lives. But I don't think it's going to, looking at the way they're targeting things. Oh, the Occultist. Okay, maybe it will. We drew the Stream. But honestly, I think that's all we can do. We could try and trade this, but I don't think it's worth it. No, let's give no blocks here. Maybe in that case we should have Faithless Looting. That would probably be a correct choice. That was a mistake on my part. I should have realised I was 1 mana short of doing this both. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, I definitely should have been Faithless Looting here. But at least now... I mean, we can just go Ingenious Scarb and Faithless Looting. But I think we just want Pyrehound down. Pyrehound and Hope. I don't like the Pyrehound and Hope approach, because this could just die to an Incendiary Flow. Not Incendiary Flow, Fiery Temper right here. Which is, I think, what's coming. I should have played the Scarb. Because also, if I play the... Oh, no, it didn't. I mean, this could be Incendiary Flow now, the Sorcery Speed one, but... If I played the Scarb and kept up Borrowed Hostility, I could have put it out of range of 3 damage. Deadweight. Oh, Deadweight's fine. I don't care about that. And if they attack with both, I will absolutely block the Aristocrat with my Homunculus. I don't care that much about my Homunculus. Yeah, okay, so no blocks here. They can exile a card. This isn't ideal, but hopefully it's something that's black and they can't play. Yes, Dusk Feaster gone. Oh, this is good. So that's just any 2. So, I think here, I'm just going to play this for now. And what I'm going to try and do is use Borrowed Hostility to pump this up to block, and then the following turn I'm going to use Incendiary Flow to deal with the whichever one they leave behind. Deadweight, okay. So, with that being the Deadweight choice, I'm actually fine in just trying to trade this. And we'll just Borrowed Hostility to give it +3/+0. They still get the use out of their out of their triggered ability here. But this potentially trades if they don't do anything about it. Because we couldn't quite get enough toughness here, but we didn't want to sacrifice anything else. They got a Dragoon again. And given that they're a discard deck, it might just be that that's what we want to end here. Nothing here is instant speed, unfortunately, so I think we have to deal with this. Force them to use the Indulgent Aristocrat to get some value out of it. Yeah, that's fine. We're slightly bigger than them, and we just pass the turn. Because they've got lifelink, this doesn't work favourably for us in the long run. But next turn we get to flip, our spells are cheaper, we might be able to find our... Ooh. Okay, them keeping mana up for that is not good for us overall. The fact that Indulgent Aristocrat can keep going. Okay, so now we're at... Tormenting Voice is pretty much a given here. To discard... It's going to be discard the Scarecrow, actually. I don't think we need the Scarecrow in any way, shape or form. It's not trample good. Honestly, I think I'm just going to do the same thing and look for our compelling deterrence. Perfect. Sure, so our Voracious Reader's not going to be any smaller next turn, so we just attack with that, see what they do. Yeah, because it's not going to be big enough to be effective on the board state next turn. We can Faithless Looting again next turn. Yeah, I mean, we would block there if it came to it. We're not going to block here. We will take the 5, possibly 6. There is a chance we could have even just lost there if they had Uncaged Fury, but we need to be a little bit more cautious here. Okay, so if this works out well, we should be okay. This pumps this up, which is nice. And we don't care about either of those, so that's fine. In terms of playing a land here, I think we want Geist so we can try and push through damage in the future turns. It also blocks the Aristocrat nicely, so they'd have to sack something else to deal with it. So I feel a bit more okay with how this sits at the moment. So depending on what they do, there's lots of things we can choose to deal with here in different ways. Aristocrat probably wants to start sacrificing things. I mean, they could even just decide, I was about to say, to sacrifice the Gorger and just not have to attack with it, and then they can just take a slower turn. We need to find something useful here though, because that Aristocrat needs to die. Have they got... oh, this feels like a removal spell. Oh, okay, it's just a straight up we lose 3. So I think I'm putting this down. I'm just going to attack with the Geists for now, I think. I want to attack with more, but we want to have more blockers. And both of these work out really badly into the Pyrehound. So we're going to save this for things like... Did we already use Tormenting Voice? We did. Okay. You can if you want. I'm happy with it. I'll trade everything. So let's just keep going with Geists here. Keep our hand. This one feels like it could easily slip away from us. You know, we're not far away from a losing play. That might even be it, to be honest. They can sacrifice multiple vampires here and push... oh, well, they're doing it immediately, though. Okay. We don't have any discard outputs here, so just playing this works. I don't agree with doing that, basically. It's like having more threats means that we have to make more decisions and they can react in more ways. So I'm kind of just thinking, what is the best option here? I don't want to play too many lands in case we find a way of buying back Tormenting Voice. Okay, yeah. They're still teasing us. Okay, I don't think they were out of it yet, but I think we're nearly at the point where we had to force them to block. So I think our opponent should have played that out a few more turns. If we could, you know, do the thing like you can on MTGO, just draw the card, see what was coming, we could have probably figured out the answer, but if we didn't draw well, they could absolutely come back from that. I wouldn't have conceded from that point, because there's a world in which we just, you know, make some difficult plays, or they get some things that are just too big for us to deal with, and we can't actually cope. But now we're on to our final round, hopefully. So what have we got here? Arlincourt, Vanek, Faithless Looting. Yep, this looks fine to me. Hopefully they're first. Yeah, they are first, so we get more card draws from find a green source. So this actually makes it... actually, no. Now I don't want to use Faithless Looting because we've got ability to remove 2 things in a row. Okay, so that's fine. So now we are going to use Faithless Looting because you can still hold up Galvanic Bombardment. We want to keep at least 1 land? No. So Borrowed Hostility goes. And it's either Arlincourt or a Pyrehound, and I think I hate both of those options. I'll tell you what, we could put Galvanic Bombardment in, but it just gets better. I think it's Arlincourt. I don't like it, but we can't cast her as it stands, and I'm being greedy if I choose to keep her. Play that and pass the turn. So if they target that in response to the trigger, we kill it. This could have been the one that was in our draft if they were playing yesterday. And now we can actually hold up 2 removal spells for this next turn, which is nice. We're going to keep passing. So with this situation, I think we actually hold on our Pyre Hounds until we can play them safer. Because they're holding up mana, and we don't want to just run into that for no reason. And if we both just do the same forever, it works out well. Okay, yeah. Now we can just play Fevered Visions, hold up a counterspell, and make them react to us, because this is now going to churn through their hands too quickly for them to not react to. So they might want to play like a Pyre Hound here or something. Mercurial Geist, yep. Oh. We want to Galvanic Bombardment this. Perfect. Here we will play probably just, let's just go Pyre Hound. They're functionally the same, doesn't matter. We can't do anything to, yeah, I'll say we can't play around a Deny or a Convolute, so we might as well just play that out. There's our forest for Arlim that we can't get back. Yeah, so they're going to take 2. So they must be just drawing counter spells here. So I think in this situation we just want to play Mercurial Geist out again. See what they do. We draw Fiery Temper, which is good, but it doesn't act defensively is the problem. So maybe Pyre Hound would be better in that respect. Yeah, that's fine. And are they going to pass? Or are they going to play something? This is awesome. We are just chewing their hand away slowly. Please no Deny Existence. Okay, perfect. We really want our counter spells here is the problem. What we don't want is... Okay, they've got a Pyre Hound, yep. If they got... Hopefully they have no more instants to compare to this. There we go, perfect. So we get the Pyre Hound back. If they can't play 2 more cards, they're going to lose. They get a 1-1. Yep, they're getting more damage again. More Pyre Hounds. I think at this point we do actually want to Faithless Looting, because we don't care about either of these particularly. So I think we ditch the Scarecrow still. And honestly, I think we might even just... No, we need to hold up our imaginary counterspell. Damn it, we didn't draw it. I was hoping we would. We don't block this no matter what. We hope they don't play too many things. Yep, there's the Silent Departure again. Oh, it's another one. Okay, so this we need to kill. We need to find a way of damaging it. Can they play anything else, or are they just going to take another 2, it looks like? Down to 10. Okay, so this looks like either a Convolute or Deny Existence. We should have played a land. Here we're going to play 1 land, because we're getting a lot of lands here and we don't need too many things to discard anymore. We're at 13 cards, they're 18, so we are going to win. Elder Deep Fiend, hey? So that changes the clock a little bit. Yep. So they're going to just chew through us pretty quickly here, but so we need to find ways of dealing with that. Cryptolith Fragment. That will flip as well, which is awkward. But the thing is, they're now quite low. So if they attack with both, there's a world in which we just burn them out. Yeah, they have to stay back, because they're down to 10. If they can't play anything here, they're down to 8. They have to play something, really. Okay, they're going to discard. Yeah, there we go, that makes sense. Okay, so Shreds of Sanity. Now that's a good one. So what can we get back? Instant Sorcery. So if we go... So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. I think we can do this. So if we Incendiary Flow this, we Shreds of Sanity to get back. Let's go Galvanic Bombardment and Incendiary Flow. We then we need to discard a card, so we discard 2, 3, 4, 6. Discard an island. Oh, Galvanic Bombardment. Oh wait, hang on, we just need to check that we've still got another one in our graveyard. We do. Galvanic Bombardment, Elder Deep Fiend. Incendiary Flow this. Attack for loads. Yes, there we go. We had the line. That was awesome. That was my favourite turn of the entire draft. Well, there we go. We have our second 7-win draft in a row. We've done 3 different archetypes. We've had black-red vampires, green-black grind. Ooh, got a little tattered old card back. I love that. Rise of the Ants. And then we've got 7 wins here with the blue-red spells deck splashing for Arlingcord. So we are now back up to nearly having 3 full drafts. And I think as a little prize for celebrating 2 in a row, we're going to open all of these packs one by one. So we're looking for just cool cards. I love this old scratched up card back. I literally have cards that look a bit like that. In fact, I've got one. So this one doesn't look too bad, but I've got like this one here that was my friend's. Let's say he passed away like 15 years ago, maybe slightly longer actually, 20 years ago, and I kept that from him. But I've definitely got cards that look like that. Collective effort was always good. What have we got here? More Mysteries is fun. That was so good. Rattle Chains, yep, Spirit's deck could come in. I like the fact that there's actually cards we don't have in the collection anymore as well, because we had all these in person. Wild cards are nice. Selfless Spirit, that was such a popular card for such a long time. I don't know what's in the meta now at all, but I still can't believe Fiery Temper is uncommon. It should be. Oh, I love this Sorin. The plus on this Sorin was one of my favourite cards in a bunch of decks that I played. Especially I had EDH like life gain decks, and that was awesome. I'd forgotten he existed. So we've got another Mythic out of this, which is nice. Westvale Abbey. I love Westvale Abbey. Such a cool card. Just like trying to find a win con. Not very good with all the exile removal that exists, but Flameblade Angel, the starter deck cards, and now we're on to Phyrexia. Okay, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I'm just going to look at the rares. Malcator Purity Overseer. 3 mana 1/1. Makes a 3/3 golem. If there's 3 or more artifacts under your control, create a 3/3 golem. Excuse me. Well, that sounds good. There's a load of like eggs decks that would do really well with something like that. And that is no restriction on it either, so I see that can be actually potentially popular. Thrumming Bird is great. I used to love that. Zenith Chronicler. Whenever each player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. Okay, so that's like an EDH hose card if you just like know loads of people play like 5 colour decks and things. Unctus Grand Metatect. 3 mana 2/4, which is decent. Oh, this feels like Grand Architect, doesn't it? Other blue creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card, so loot. Other artifact creatures can all get +1/+1. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact in addition to its other colours and types. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, that's a Grand Architect style card there. I used to love that. I had the Grand Architect, what was it? Paradox Engine like combo deck that on modern online at one point. Slowbad Iron Goblin, 3/3/3, sack an artifact, add red equal to its mana value to activate abilities. That seems like it could be really useful, especially again eggs decks. Brushlands, got a rare there. Cage Sun. I love Cage Sun. Mono blue. Oh, we've got a Dominaria. I love Dominaria. But I had a mono blue Teferi Planeswalker EDH deck, and that was in there. And Definer of Vigor. 5 mana 6/6 is great already. There's an additional cost to cast green permanent spells. They pay 2 life. They spell cost green less. Only reduce the amount of green mana. It gets whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put 1/1 counter each creature you control. So that would be. Was it the was it the 5 green like 12/12 or something that existed before? So you just pay 10 life and get a 12/12 for free. There we go. So we're doing quite well with our Magic drafts. I've enjoyed them. It's nice to do something a little bit different, go back to something that I used to really enjoy loads. Again, not as fan of the most recent sets, a bit too aggressive for me. I much prefer dirtly, fun, weird things. But hopefully you've enjoyed watching me dive back into this and have a bit of fun with it myself. If you have, feel free to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments what more you want to see. Please do subscribe and head over to the Patreon if that's the way you feel like you'd like to support. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Most importantly is to have a good day.